Vedanta Limited is being demerged into not one, not two, but 5 different companies at the same time. And क्योंकि historically demergers have offered some very interesting investment opportunities, in this video we're going to try and evaluate the Vedanta demerger. Hi, my name is Rahul. I've been investing since 2014. I'm a CFA charter holder. And in this video, we're going to discuss why the demerger makes sense, the context in which the demerger is happening. Secondly, the timeline for the demerger to complete. Thirdly, we're going to try and do a valuation exercise, the sum of the parts valuation for the Vedanta demerger. And fourthly, we're going to come to a conclusion based on what we know today. So let's get started. So let's start from the very basics. 2023 में जब announcement हुई थी कि Vedanta Limited will be demerged into total of 6 entities, 1 existing and 5 new entities. The different businesses would be Vedanta Aluminium, separate, Vedanta Oil and Gas, Vedanta Base Metals, Vedanta Power, and Steel and Ferrous Metals, right? So initially ये announcement हुई थी, but very recently, at least over the last couple of months, a new development has taken place where they're saying that Vedanta Base Metals जो है वो अभी separate नहीं होगा. It will remain under Vedanta Limited, जिसके अंदर existing businesses जो थोड़े nascent stages पे हैं, semiconductors, displays, they will continue to be under Vedanta Limited because Hindustan Zinc being a fantastic company, gives out a lot of cash. So this unit or this company is going to serve as an incubator, and जो भी businesses mature नहीं है वो इसके अंदर रहेंगे. उसके अलावा 4 नए businesses delist होने वाले हैं. So these are the very basics. अब Vedanta Base की भी एक background story है. They have this copper plant that is there. वो 2018 से inoperational है, बंद है. वहाँ पे 13 लोगों की death हो गई थी. There were protests over there, and India went, because of those closures, India went from being domestically secured in terms of its copper supply, now has turned into a net importer of copper because of that plant being closed. Meanwhile, Adani has opened its own copper plant. I think it was 1 or 2 quarters back it came operational. I don't know what the capacity utilization is, but clearly because of the energy transition and electrification theme, copper being one of the most best conductors of electricity is in high demand. So that's a very basic outline. So these are the different companies that are going to come out of Vedanta, right? This is the overview. अब क्वेश्चन ये उठता है कि क्यों कर रहे हैं, एंड ये पहली बार नहीं हुआ है. 2000 अगर आप हिस्ट्री पढ़ेंगे वेदांता लिमिटेड की, देयर हैव बीन मेनी कॉर्पोरेट एक्शंस एट डिफरेंट पॉइंट्स इन टाइम, एंड ऐसा लगता है कि अंडरलाइंग मोटिवेशन फॉर ऑल ऑफ दिस इज टू मैनेज द ग्रुप्स डेट properly, right? This is a note from Institutional Investor Advisory Service, and they said that in the past also there have been many corporate actions. Most of them are to cater to debt. जैसे 2012 में इन्होंने कहा था कि हम merge करेंगे सारी companies. फिर 2020 में इन्होंने कहा था हम delist करेंगे सारी companies after merging all of them. And thank God that offer was rejected because we had government as a major shareholder in Hindustan Zinc. 87 rupees पे वेदांता ने कहा हम कंपनी को डीलिस्ट करेंगे, whereas the book value itself was around 180 rupees, and LIC basically said कि हम नहीं देते 87.5 rupees में. They offered a quote of around 320 or 325. So the minority shareholders got saved in that episode. फिर 2023 में आते आते इन्होंने कहा अच्छा हो गया बहुत, ठीक है, demerger, merge and all. Now we want to delist, we want to create value by demerging these different entities. But the fundamental motivation behind all of these corporate actions is to manage the debt at different points in time, right? So that again is the motivation even this time. And again, if you look at, again, these are just examples of the language that was used in 2012 versus the language that is being used now. It is practically, they're saying the same stuff. So it's just kind of amusing how that works. So debt के बारे में बात कर लेते हैं. अब यहाँ पे इनकी एक प्रेजेंटेशन है, इन्होंने बोला है कि कैसे दे हैव डिलीवर्ड अ लॉट ऑफ शेयर होल्डर वैल्यू, एंड इट्स ट्रू बाय वर्च्यू ऑफ दीज डिविडेंड्स एंड प्राइस रिटर्न्स. शेयर होल्डर रिटर्न्स ओवर द लास्ट 10 years have been 18.5%, but there have been periods where it was significantly higher, and those are the periods ideally you want to buy as an investor if you were investing in individual companies. We're not getting to that for now, but this is how the Vedanta Limited investor presentation is projecting it, right? And obviously there are some great businesses. They've been investing very consistently over $1 billion almost every year, sometimes much more. over the last 10 years. So there's been a lot of investment, and because there's been a lot of investment, they've borrowed a lot of money. Because they've borrowed, there's a lot of debt repayments that keep coming up. And if the business, because the business is a commodity business, and if prices tend to go down, your EBITDA gets hit, your operating profit gets hit, and that can cause some problems. And this was the case actually in 2024. पिछले 2-3 सालों में the net debt to EBITDA, the operating profit के कितने times debt है, that had actually was on an increasing trend, and the debt to equity had reached an alarming level of 40%. Obviously इस सिनारियो में जो लेंडर्स थे वो बहुत अनकंफर्टेबल हो गए थे. देयर वर अ लॉट ऑफ क्रेडिट डाउनग्रेड्स एंड आल्सो देयर कोर बिजनेस. एक तो एल्यूमिनियम का जो केपेक्स था, देयर वर सम इश्यूज विद the newer capacities coming online, and the zinc, the core business which throws a lot of cash, prices were being impacted. I mean, it's a commodity, and therefore they had some cash flow issues also. So इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट के अंदर सितंबर 2023 में इन्होंने अनाउंस किया था कि हम डीमर्ज करेंगे, राइट? और उस दौरान बाय द वे पिछले कुछ 2023 अप्रैल से कुछ महीनों में द स्टॉक वाज डाउन मोर देन 40%, राइट? And this is around October 3rd or somewhere. As I said, 2022 से 2024 में operating profit had decreased by 7,000 crores, but interest had doubled, right? So interest had doubled in the same time, and because of that, profits had, profits became 1/3 of what they used to be. And this kind of volatility is kind of not rare. It does happen because again, it's a commodity company, although there are some very solid businesses. But because of this, the stock had come down, and in that context, they announced that they're going to demerge, right? अब क्वेश्चन ये उठता है, जैसे हमने बोला ये 6 एंटिटीज इनिशियली उन्होंने बोला था, वेदांता बेस मेटल्स अभी यहीं पे रहेंगी. The second question is when this is going to happen, okay? Initially, as these projections kind of give a sense, expected ये था कि सितंबर 2014 तक लिस्ट हो जाएगा, बट क्लियरली अभी हम कहीं इस स्टेज पे हैं, फाइलिंग कंपनी विद स्कीम पिटिशन विद एनसीएलटी सैंक्शंस. एंड अगेन आई थिंक एनसीएलटी की अभी एक मीटिंग हुई थी 18 फरवरी को, फिर से शेयर होल्डर्स और क्रेडिटर्स और अनसिक्योर्ड एंड सिक्योर्ड क्रेडिटर्स की मीटिंग है टू अप्रूव दैट अभी वेदांता बेस मेटल को नहीं डीमर्ज करते हैं, इसको वेदांता लिमिटेड के अंदर ही रखते हैं. सो दीज आर सम ऑफ द चेंजेस. इसकी वजह से कुछ डिलेज हो चुके हैं, एंड ऐसा लगता है अभी द एक्सपेक्टेड टाइमलाइन इज मार्च 25, बट आई वुड से मार्च में भी इट्स अनलाइकली कि ये हो पाएगा. अगेन इट डिपेंड्स ऑन व्हाट हैपेंस ऑन द 18th Feb का मीटिंग. आफ्टर ऑल आई थिंक दिस इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट, I wouldn't say largest demerger. It is one of the largest, but also so many companies are coming out of one demerger. So it is kind of interesting, and yeah. So this is roughly the timeline currently. Now the question is sum of the part valuation. इस table को देख के घबराने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. I know there are a lot of different businesses within Vidanta Limited as of now, and this is taken from ICICI Securities का report. I'm just starting from this report because it gives us a benchmark of how at least some of the larger brokerage houses are thinking, and then we can challenge them, ask you, why is this the case. But in very simple terms, currently करीब 600 रुपए की वैल्यू sum of the parts valuation निकाली है ICICI रिपोर्ट ने. एंड मेरे हिसाब से इस टेबल में और इस वैल्यूएशन में थोड़े से इश्यूज हैं, एटलीस्ट अकॉर्डिंग टू माई नॉलेज, वट एवर आई नो, आई कुड बी completely wrong. But I think that some of these valuations, the multiples that are being used seem to be a little bullish, although the idea is that individual businesses, pure play commodity businesses, at least across the world, tend to trade at a slight premium. So it is not totally unfounded why these multiples are used, but still, as an investor, I would try to value them on a very, very conservative basis. So like I said, total 591 rupees per share value आ रही है आज. I think 420, 430 के करीब है आज stock price अगर आप देखें. Core businesses which account for 90% of the EBITDA, I think we are going to focus on them first. और ये FY26 के I believe forward EBITDA basis पे जो भी estimates हैं, उनके basis पे ये multiples estimate किए गए हैं. So oil and gas इनके हिसाब से 201 billion meaning 20,100 करोड़ की वैल्यू है. ये 100% ओन्ड है, एंड इसकी वजह से 53 रुपीज़ पर शेयर वैल्यू आ रही है. जिंक इंडिया जो है 15 टाइम्स एग्जिट पी दे रहे हैं 2 ईयर फॉरवर्ड पे, ठीक है। और क्योंकि ये कॉन्ग्लोमरेट, क्योंकि जिंक इंडिया इज हेल्ड थ्रू वेदांता लिमिटेड, तो वहाँ पे डिस्काउंट लगा के 250 रुपये शेयर की वैल्यू जो है वो यहाँ से आती है। जिंक इंटरनेशनल सिमिलरली दे हैव सेड दैट वील मल्टीपल हम जो दे सकते हैं इज 7x, एंड अगेन इस पे भी एक डिस्काउंट है, 36 रुपीज़ यहाँ से आ रहा है। बैल्को इज़ एन एल्यूमिनियम सब्सिडरी, वहाँ पे 7x है, इसकी वैल्यू 55 है, और इसकी 1 से वेदांता एल्यूमिनियम की 197, सो मिला के 591 रुपीज़ वैल्यू आती है। मैं इनफैक्ट ऑल दी अदर बिजनेसेस को मैं अभी अकाउंट ही नहीं कर रहा हूँ, राइट। इफ दिस इज द केस, इफ दिस इज एक्यूरेट, देन क्लियरली देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ वैल्यू। क्वेश्चन ये उठता है कि देर आर 2 ways टू थिंक अबाउट दिस। ए है कि आप जिस दिन लिस्ट होंगी ये 5 नई कंपनीज, उस दिन क्या जो लिस्टिंग प्राइस होगा वो प्रॉफिट पे लिस्ट होगा। एक ये तरीका है दूसरे का देखने का। दूसरा है कि आपको फर्क नहीं पड़ता है कि लिस्टिंग डे पे टोटल वैल्यू ऑफ दीज लिस्टेड शेयर्स कितनी होगी, ज्यादा होगी, कम होगी, because you're interested more so in some of the businesses or maybe all of them from a 1 to 2 year basis. If you have an opinion about the future, maybe the kind of valuation I am doing might not be very important for you, because मैं ये पता करने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ कि on the day of listing, is there a significant enough gap? The reason why that is important for somebody like me is because maybe I invest a lot of time, I am a quote unquote full time investor, तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि मुझे ज़्यादा परसेंटेज ऑफ माई कैपिटल में डालना चाहता हूँ फ्यूअर बेट्स में। वील सी हाउ दैट प्लेज आउट। और इसी के लिए मुझे जो श्योरिटी है, आई एम विलिंग टू गो लिटिल डीपर, बट मुझे श्योरिटी ज़्यादा चाहिए, एंड सो दैट इज़ वाई आई एम थिंकिंग लाइक दैट। आई वॉन्ट यू टू नो दिस बिकॉज आप अपने सिचुएशन को और मैं जैसे सोच रहा हूँ उसको कंपेयर कर सकते हैं, एंड यू कैन से मे बी अ डिफरेंट वे ऑफ थिंकिंग वर्क्स फॉर यू। सो anyway, this is the gist. Fundamentally these valuations have been done on 2 basis. एक है कि EBITDA and दूसरा है कि इन्हें मल्टीपल दिया गया है, वो भी मुझे लगता है थोड़े से बुलिश मल्टीपल्स हैं। तो मैं ऐसा करूंगा कि मैं EBITDA, करंट EBITDA यूज करूंगा, और मल्टीपल्स भी थोड़े से डिक्रीज करके देखते हैं अगर फिर भी कुछ डिफरेंस आता है। एंड द फंडामेंटल रीजन व्हाई आई वांट टू डू दैट इज बिकॉज देयर कैन बी सिग्निफिकेंट वेरिएशंस इन ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट। तो ऐसा ना हो कि मैंने इन्वेस्ट किया ये सोच के कि जिस दिन लिस्टिंग होगी मार्च या अप्रैल में, उसी दिन मेरे को 600 रुपये टोटल इन ऑल दीज डिफरेंट कंपनीज टोटल आई कैन गेट एंड आई कैन सेल एंड अर्न अ प्रॉफिट। द प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ दैट काइंड ऑफ गेट्स इम्पैक्टेड बिकॉज मे बी ओवर द नेक्स्ट क्वार्टर प्राइसेस कैन गो डाउन। जिंक, aluminium and crude, they're all commodities and the prices fluctuate a lot. अगर यही चीज़ अगर यहाँ पे हो रही होती where prices were somewhere at the bottom of their recent median, maybe there would have been more kind of margin of safety. But my point is that because EBITDA itself can fluctuate a lot as we just saw in that table also, तो मैं इसके basis पे valuation करने में थोड़ा सा comfortable नहीं हूँ, especially from the point of view that I want, if I want a profit right on the day of delisting, right? So that is my context. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but yeah, this is how I'm thinking as of now. So what I've done is I've taken the operating profit, TTM operating profit लिया है. I'm not taking a 2-year forward. Zinc India का 15,197 crores है. Zinc International 684. Aluminium, this business has really done well over the last 1 or 2 quarters. Last 3 to 6 quarters, it's really ramped up 14,000 crore. Oil and gas 5,023 crores. So multiples भी मैंने काफ़ी नॉच डाउन किए हैं. मीडियन मल्टीपल अगर देखें हिंदुस्तान जिंक का 8.3 है, हिस्टोरिकली मैंने 8 लिया है. So it's kind of at the medium, not very conservative, depends how you look at it. यहाँ पे इन्होंने ICICI रिपोर्ट में 7 टाइम्स लिया था, मैंने 5 टाइम्स यूज़ कर रहा हूँ. एल्यूमिनियम का इन्होंने 7 टाइम्स लिया था, मैंने 5 लिया है. ऑयल एंड गैस का इनकी भी वैल्यू अराउंड 20,000 करोड़. अकॉर्डिंग टू दीज कैलकुलेशंस द वैल्यू कम्स आउट टू बी 1.74 लाख करोड़ की मार्केट कैप, राइट? विच by the way from the current market cap of 1.65 lakh crore is a difference of around 10% or so, right? To me, at least based on these conservative, and by the way, I have not taken into account any of the power business, the iron and steel, any of that. So surely there must be some value in that too. But मेरे लिए at least as of now मेरे लिए ये attractive नहीं है because like I said, I want a higher degree of surety. One way I could have done that is I could have bought put options. I could have hedged my exposure to an extent, but what I found was 425 रुपए जब शेयर चल रहा है वेदांता का, उसके जो 420 के पुट ऑप्शंस हैं उन्हीं का कॉस्ट अराउंड 16 रुपए है, तो 4% तो हेजिंग कॉस्ट ही होगा। और मेरे को अगर एक्सपेक्टेड प्रॉफिट मेरा 10 to 15% है, and that too, by the way, these put options are for February expiry. If you don't know about put options, don't worry. You can ask questions or we can address this later. But this is one way maybe I could have hedged my exposure to an extent, ताकि जब तक delisting होती है at least my downside is protected. जो भी upside delist पे होगा वो होगा. But it seems that also मतलब is not a very very viable and attractive option. And मेरा concern like I said is कि अगर अगले एक quarter में या 2 quarter में जब भी delisting होती है, if prices go down and let's say the outlook turns, because already we are seeing some sort of slowdown in the economy, because commodities are linked to economic growth for whatever reason, अगर near term outlook थोड़ा सा weak हो जाता है, then I am left in a position which I don't want to be in, especially as I said, if I'm investing a big part of my portfolio. So from that perspective, it doesn't make sense to me. But if you're somebody who's willing to wait a little bit longer, if you're somebody who's willing to take a call and say that, hey, look, सारे businesses शायद से उतने attractive नहीं है, but let's say aluminium वाला business बहुत attractive है. And there are some things that are very, very interesting in this business that are happening. Aluminum production is expected to go up significantly. It is also going to become a backward integrated, fully integrated player, and therefore its EBITDA per ton, the profitability is expected to jump 2 times. But अगर ऐसा है, अगर कुछ businesses, you know, naturally some are more superior to the others, अगर ऐसा है, then why not wait for them to delist first? Let them delist. Let's see what happens. Whatever the scenario is at the time of this, whether 2 months, 3 months down the line, and then you can take a call if I want to buy aluminium or I want to buy the steel business or just the Hindustan Zinc or whatever, and maybe in that, from that position you might have a better margin of safety. At least that's the thinking I'm coming from. It might not suit you, might not work for you, but yeah. What this teaches us is at least that we should look deeper into these individual businesses if you are so inclined, if this is somewhat interesting to you. And I think this is that would be the natural next step if you want to evaluate this demerger opportunity further. But in conclusion, based on how I'm thinking as I explained, for me, it does not seem to be a very, very attractive opportunity as of now. So with that, thank you so much for listening. If you like the video, please do share and let me know in the comments if I've gone wrong somewhere. If you have any comments, I'd love to learn from you. And if you have any questions, just drop them. Thank you.